Mics are going hot.
All right, guys, we're going to rock and roll today on the show. I'm looking forward to connecting with you on this gorgeous Tuesday. Man, we have truly been blessed with the weather this month. I mean, it was Christmas Day. It was, Judah, what was it like? In the 60s on Christmas Day?
At least. I think it was 70.
I mean, it's close to 70 degrees. It was short sleeve shirt weather on Christmas Day. So let's count our blessings with the temperatures of late. That's been beautiful. Obviously, I need to talk about the new CDC guidelines. The reduction in isolation and quarantine by the CDC from 10 days to 5. I think this has everybody, certainly my family, certainly the folks I've been communicating with today, just scratching our heads and saying, what the HE double hockey sticks is going on? When you make such dramatic changes, you start to lose confidence in leadership. And then Biden, Judah, did you see Joe Biden said the handling and management of this pandemic is now a state level thing and not a federal?
I thought that's what it was supposed to. I thought that's what it was when it
But
first started.
he ran on a platform, though, of squashing COVID, Joe Biden. And now he's heading to his Delaware beach house and saying it's not the federal government that's going to do anything about this. We'll talk about that on the program. The University of Virginia Foundation has purchased Ivy Square Shopping Center for $20 million. The city of UVA continues to expand and to grow. Marcus Hagans releases a poignant statement. Of course, Biscuit retained by the University of Virginia as new head coach, and Tony Elliott. We'll talk about that. U.S. home prices popped 18.4% in October, and 2 Seaville restaurants were looted on December 26th. Who loots restaurants in the wee hours after Christmas? I mean, what kind of, I was going to use a profanity, what kind of jerk loots Seaville restaurants in the wee hours just after Christmas? We'll highlight that and maybe call him the biggest bozo of the year. So much to cover today on the I Love Seaville show, including some thoughts and perspective of Spider-Man, the movie, which our colleague and friend, our family, Judah Wickower, saw firsthand. A movie that, if memory serves correct, Judah, on conversation, and your mic's hot, right?
Yeah.
You said you were teary-eyed.
Oh, yeah.
It's that good.
That good.
That good. And he says I can bring my 3.5-year-old to the movie. You also said that, right?
Sure.
So when I had the conversation with the beautiful better half, I'm going to say, hey, Judah said this was okay.
Yeah.
That's going to go well. We're going to talk about that, Judah, today on the program. He's our fantastic director. So much to cover on the show. J-Dubs, we can rock and roll in T-minus 10 seconds. Guys, hit that like button if you could do me a favor. Give the show a like and a share on we're live on all social media, but give it a like and a share if you could do me a solid here. That would mean the absolute world to us on this Tuesday, the last Tuesday of 2021, J-Dubs. All right, my friend, I can rock and roll when you're ready.
Quiet on the set.
Guys, welcome to the I Love Seaville show. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us on the last Tuesday of 2021. It's great to be with you on just a glorious day to be above the mud. Jerry Miller and Judah Wickower on a program that we love to create and produce and direct and just bring to you. We love to connect with you through this network and this platform and across all social media channels, guys. A lot I want to cover on today's show, including new CDC guidelines causing confusion, frustration, anger, uncertainty, last thing you want from leadership of any kind is confusion, frustration, anger, and uncertainty. If you're just catching this for the first time, U.S. health officials cut isolation restrictions for asymptomatic Americans who catch COVID from 10 days to 5 days. So now quarantining has been cut by 50%. I want to talk about these topics. How much confidence do you have in the CDC and Dr. Anthony Fauci right now? I want to talk this topic. Will the reduction of isolation times have positive impacts on America and what they are? I have a few positive impacts for the reduction of isolation times on our country, and I will relay those to you. I want to ask you this question. Current President Joe Biden ran on a platform and he campaigned saying he was going to end the pandemic. And today, Biden is preaching, announcing, conveying to the American public that it is no longer a federal responsibility to squash COVID. It is now the responsibility of states to squash COVID. That, my friend, seems like the quintessential about face and bait and switch by the president. I want to talk about that on the show. I want to highlight a massive purchase by the UVA Foundation. The UVA Foundation, my friends, for $20 million. $20 million on the 20th of December, purchased the Ivy Square Shopping Center. That's the shopping center that's home to Foods of All Nations. The UVA Foundation is a powerful, influential foundation that is undoubtedly shaping the Charlottesville we know today and the Charlottesville we will know tomorrow and for years to come. There's no secret that the university is growing quickly down the Ivy Corridor into the western portion of Albemarle. If you drive down Ivy Road, you literally see a sidewalk that's being created from Ivy Provisions all the way to the Boar's Head. I want to offer some thoughts and perspective on this $20 million purchase of the Ivy Square Shopping Center. We'll also talk U.S. home prices. For so many of us, the most valuable commodity in our portfolio is the home we own and live in. Home prices popped 18.4% in October across our country. COVID undoubtedly has created a vastly changed housing economy, and we will try to assess those changes on the last Tuesday of 2021. Two Charlottesville restaurants, another topic we will review on today's program, were robbed, looted, and damaged in the wee hours after Christmas. Who robs, loots, and damages restaurants right after Kris Kringle visits Seville? What kind of bozo does that? A statement from UVA wide receiver coach Marcus Hagans I want to bring to your attention. Biscuit, as he's fondly known by Wahoo Nation, as we reported yesterday, retained by new head coach Tony Elliott. His statement, which I will read verbatim for you this afternoon, personifies why this man is a fantastic leader of young men. And lastly, Spider-Man, the movie, our esteemed, acclaimed, intelligent, well-read director, that's you. Can we go to the two-shot? Please, J-Dubs. Is going to be a topic of conversation. A movie that got this man, are you waving to your fans, your many fans, teary-eyed while sitting in the cinema? Am I correct, Judah? Was that good?
It was that good? It's a great movie.
First thing he said when I saw him the day after was, take your 3.5-year-old son Trey to see this. That, not the first thing. But
you asked.
I did ask. And you knew I was going to ask because you know me well. So I want to talk about Spider-Man. I want to talk about what made it incredible. Are you seeing the box office sales numbers of Spider-Man, J-Dubs?
They're incredible.
They're incredible.
Highest gross since 2019?
Yeah, I mean, that says something, especially on the heels of a pandemic, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that just shows you. Spider-Man could single-handedly be saving movies as we know it today. The in-person movie experience as well, is what I mean by that. It is one of the 10 biggest movies of all time, from a sales number. But Judah, let's get to the topic du jour. And I'm curious of your take here. I'm going to give my take. I'm going to give your take for the listeners' and viewers' perspective and benefit, okay? So I'm going to read verbatim from the CDC. Yesterday, the CDC cut isolation restrictions for asymptomatic Americans, J-Dubs, who catch the coronavirus from 10 days to 5 days. Also, they shortened the time that close contacts need to be quarantined. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, officials from the CDC, said the guidance is in keeping with growing evidence that people with the coronavirus are most infectious in the 2 days before and the 3 days after symptoms develop. The decision was driven by a recent surge in COVID-19 cases propelled by the Omicron variant, the CDC said yesterday. Early research suggests the Omicron variant may cause milder illnesses than earlier versions of COVID. And the CDC director, Rochelle Walensky, has warned that the country is going to see an abundance of Omicron cases, which is, frankly speaking, J-Dubs, obvious, right? After Christmas, after New Year, and after holiday travel. So here's my take, and I'm curious of your take, okay? Keep it on the two if you could. We'll go eyeball to eyeball and have just a frank and friendly conversation amongst two people that have worked alongside each other for nearly a decade. When the CDC makes changes like this, Senor Wickower, I lose even more confidence in the organization. There was a time when Anthony Fauci said, if you get vaccinated, you won't get COVID. Fauci said that. Mm-hmm. The president, Joe Biden, who legitimately ran on a campaign. Look, here's a screenshot my wife sent me, and I'm going to get out of your way here. On October 23rd, 2020, so this is before the election, J-Dubs, there were 220,000 Americans dead and 0% of Americans fully vaccinated. Joe Biden, when campaigning, said, I am going to shut down the virus. This is October 23rd, 2020. I'll give you those statistics again. Before Halloween, before the election, when Biden and Trump were going toe-to-toe, 220,000 Americans were dead from this pandemic. 0% of our country was fully vaccinated. And Joe Biden said, J-Dubs, I'm going to shut down the virus. Elect me. December 27th, my friend, which was yesterday, there are 815,000 Americans dead from this pandemic. That's roughly just under 4x the deaths. 62% of the country is fully vaccinated. 62%. And Joe Biden says yesterday, there is no federal solution to the virus. It's now the state's responsibility. This is the quintessential bait and switch. The quintessential empty campaign promise. No?
Yeah. I mean, this is what we were doing before Biden became president, was letting the states deal with it. And apparently that wasn't what was right. That was the wrong thing to do. That was the wrong way to deal with the situation. And I'm pretty sure that was part of his platform, is that the previous administration's dealing with.
That was his platform.
Yeah.
That was undoubtedly his platform. A key tenet of the platform.
Mm-hmm.
So the CDC says we need to cut quarantining down from 10 to 5. We can. What immediately hit your brain when you read that?
Does any of that make sense at all? I mean, it's if you put it all together, it's like taking 5 different jigsaw puzzles and trying to make something that actually works. I mean, if you can't get COVID after getting the vaccine, then why do you need a booster? If you can, then why? I mean, it sounds like a bunch of just.
It sounds like, you know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like the CDC and leadership in this country that's managing this pandemic is shooting from the hip. And every day is a bit of an exaggeration, but more often than not, there are new guidelines and rules and regulations and suggestions to how to manage this pandemic. Mm-hmm. Now we're reading cloth masks don't work great. Wait. Now we're hearing, did you hear that?
No, are they saying that?
Yeah.
Because they're also saying in the CDC guidelines that as long as you can wear a mask for the 5 days after you quarantine for the first 5 days, then you're fine. Or if you're asymptomatic, then you can just wear a mask for 5 days. So which is it? Right.
And the wishy-washy nature of the pandemic, of leadership trying to manage this pandemic, creates a low level of confidence for me, for my wife. And all we are trying to do is protect our little guy, our 3.5-year-old. That's all we care about. We obviously care about your protection, Judah's protection, the health of mankind. But as parents, your number one priority is your son or your daughter. And ours isn't vaccinated. So here I'm left, and I want to get your take. Here I'm left scratching my head. So the quarantine period goes from 10 to 5. Cloth masks are now devalued and deprioritized.
Maybe yes.
Maybe yes, maybe no yes. Keith Smith, maybe yes, maybe no yes. There's not enough tests. Biden openly admits that he should have approved or quickened the production of tests. You can't go places now and find tests. People did the toilet paper thing. Remember in the beginning of the pandemic, people were hoarding hand sanitizer and toilet paper, where we legitimately had distilleries in Charlottesville creating their own hand sanitizer because you could not buy it at Wegmans, at Costco, at Walmart, and at the grocery stores. Now they're doing the same thing where you get a couple of tests, you got a 2-pack of tests. Hell, if you have 5 2-packs of tests, that's almost synonymous with like a gold bar. Obviously, that's an exaggeration, but you understand what I'm saying from a commodity standpoint. Judah, I'll meet you behind the alley of the Macklin building. I got 5 2-packs of tests. You come with 10, 20 spots, and we'll do the exchange by the dumpsters at dusk behind the studio.
I didn't know it was that bad.
It's that bad. It is legitimately that bad. Do you equally, Vanessa Parkhill, hello. Do you, Scott Aaronworth, hello. Lauren, hello. Jojo Robertson, Bill McKenzie, hello. Live across social media. I'll get to the DMs coming on Twitter right now. Who has confidence in leadership managing the pandemic and creating a funnel or a path for Americans to safety? How about this one? How about this one for you? Now if you get Omicron, you're more protected against previous variants of COVID. How about that?
Nice.
I mean, every day this changes, and it creates uncertainty. And that uncertainty is the last thing we need to get through this pandemic. What's your take? What are your thoughts? Scott, you're in Mexico right now. You had the confidence to go to Mexico. I'm heading up the eastern seaboard at 4 a.m. to spend some holidays with the family. All right. And if you're Fauci, who's more wishy-washy, Fauci or Biden right now, J-Dubs?
I don't think I've heard enough from either of them to really answer that question reliably, but I've never had a whole lot of faith.
You've never had faith in Fauci?
Well, I've never had faith in Fauci, and I certainly don't have faith in Biden. I mean, the guy's, you can almost hear him creaking.
You're saying puppet controlled by strings behind the scenes. That's what that illusion was.
Well, no,
That's what that illusion was.
Well, really, I just meant he's old, and, you know, he does well enough now, sometimes, but sometimes you can, like, I don't know, it's like you're in a house that's a little too old, and, you know, the wind blows a little too hard. And,
You're walking on that step down the stairs, and it's the creaky step?
yeah.
The step you always step on that makes the noise, and that's the creaky step? You're saying the president is the creaky step in the house?
No, not just the step, he's the whole house. I mean, you know, it's
The
like
whole house,
the wind
dude.
blows, and you're worried about the walls and the ceilings.
Okay, I am a positive man. Glass is half full. Let me find some positive of these new CDC quarantine reductions. Quarantine cut to 5 days from 10. Here's a positive. The positive is it's going to impact supply chains in that more employees can work. If you're quarantining now, or last month 10 days, and now it's 5, that means businesses and companies have more employees that can produce products, transport goods, serve their customers, because their employees are quarantining less. And as supply chains are less pinched, as food gets more quickly to restaurants, as food gets more quickly to grocery stores, as truck drivers can transport goods across state lines now faster because they're quarantining less, as hospital workers come back to doctors' offices or hospitals at quicker clips, as airlines have more employees manning the runway or the ticket booth or the terminals or flying the planes, that means supply chains will be less pinched, which should, from a common sense perspective, create inflation that's more manageable. The reduction of quarantine from 10 to 5 means companies have more employees to run their businesses. And as more employees run their businesses, that should potentially stabilize price points and or reduce them, causing de-inflationary periods for the economy. One of the reasons price points for bacon or milk or a loaf of bread or beer at the grocery store has escalated so quickly is because the producers of the beer, the loaf of bread, the gallon of milk, their businesses have been impacted by labor shortages. And those labor shortages are undoubtedly associated with quarantining and with COVID. Now the CDC has reduced quarantine times from 10 to 5 days. That 5-day reduction means more employees can be staffed to run businesses. And as more employees come back to work, as more people enter the workforce again, that should have a positive impact on price points and cause deflationary period, or a deflationary impact for our American economy. So do you want a positive? I love positivity. That's one for you. Yes, the reduction from 10 to 5 has me scratching my head and losing even more confidence in CDC leadership, Fauci, and the people trying to get us out of this damn thing. But the positive is more people in work, more companies running, more production, and more production, added supply, means price point stability. There's a positive for you. The deflationary nature associated with the reduction of quarantine. You buy that? I buy that. You buy that? You buy that, J-Dubs?
Maybe.
Why don't you buy that? More people working, more production. You're thinking the wheels are turning there. I like when you think and the wheels are turning. What's on the medulla oblongata over there? And Janice Trevelyan, we'll get to your comment. Kevin Higgins, we'll get to your comment. What's on the medulla? What's on the brain?
I don't know.
I know I'm putting you on the spot there.
I mean, we do want herd immunity, right? We do want more people to get it. Technically speaking.
Well, in particularly Omicron. The Omicron variant, the research out of South Africa was if you have the Omicron, if you get struck or you get riddled with Omicron, now you're more protected from previous COVID variants.
Yeah. And Omicron is less
severe.
Yeah.
The symptoms with Omicron are essentially synonymous with
the flu.
A cold, even less.
Wow. Well,
now a cold.
We should start getting people into stadiums and concert halls and.
Is that the approach? Let's bottle up Omicron and let's all take a shot of it like we're taking a shot of Jack.
I think a lot of people would be a lot more comfortable with that than a bunch of vaccines that still really, we've had at most a year and a half.
See, this is where we slightly differ.
A year and a half of testing.
The vaccines rolled out this year. We haven't even had a year.
Yeah.
Of people of empirical data with people getting poked. Okay, and this is where we slightly disagree. And in disagreement done in respectful fashion makes for quality content. I will give you this, my friend. When leadership, when the CDC with Fauci, when they start looking and acting wishy-washy.
When they start.
Okay, they've been they've been wishy-washy since the onset, right? I mean, Fauci. Remember when Fauci was pro-mask? Everyone wear the mask, and then
masks, 2 masks.
Yeah, he was saying wear the double mask. Wear the double mask. There was a time where 1 mask was taboo, and the 2 mask was all the rage. And then Fauci was saying, you better mask up. And then he was caught in pictures at baseball games sitting next to people without a mask on. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. When leadership continues to be wishy-washy, the unfortunate aspect of that wishy-washiness is it creates momentum and tailwinds for anti-vaxxers.
Yeah, fair enough.
You agree?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you can't put out a solid, steady message, if your story is changing every 3 weeks, how are people supposed to trust you?
Carol Thorpe, we'll get to your comment. Ray Cadell, we'll get to your comment. Scott Aaronworth, who's watching in beautiful Mexico, we'll get to your comment. So you would use that at a cocktail, say you're at a cocktail party. Judah Wickhauer's at a cocktail party. You got the charm and the je ne sais quoi going on. You're dressed to the nines. What's dressed to the nines?
Do you even know what je ne sais quoi means?
I mean, it's like chutzpah and like energy and swagger. What's je ne sais quoi? I mean, you're the French expert.
It means I don't know what.
So you're saying it doesn't work there?
Well, I mean, it's kind of used that way, but it's, it's like someone has a certain je ne sais quoi.
Yeah.
It's
An
like
energy.
A quality. No, it means a quality that you can't quite explain.
Yeah, I associate je ne sais quoi with energy, with like the it factor.
Yeah.
Judah, you have je ne sais quoi.
More or less. Okay.
You're at the cocktail party. The je ne sais quoi is emitting from your pores like it always does. You're charming a beautiful lady. You have what would be in your cup? It would be one of the dark ales, wouldn't it be? You're a huge ale fan. Actually, it would be a Goza in your
Depends
cup.
on the party and the time of year. I mean, yeah, if it was spring or summer,
You'd have a Goza.
If it was fall, maybe a brown. Winter, anything from a brown to a stout to a porter. I don't know.
And the conversation comes
Depends on
up.
the group too.
True,
What's
touche.
the conversation?
Yeah. Okay. So you're saying if it was hoity-toity and pinkies up at the cocktail party, you may have what?
Who knows? I mean, it could be champagne.
Champagne?
I don't know. Depends on the group.
If you're at the cocktail party and the conversation comes up, do you leverage this as a conversation starter? The CDC is so wishy-washy. Fauci is doing a double take every other week, and they reduce quarantine times from 10 to 5. How do we trust them? And then you immediately segue into the vaccination conversation?
I think you've got to know your audience.
You really got to know your audience. I know. You really got to know your audience. Ray Cadell says this: I'm still out entertaining and trying to stay very careful. 3 shows this week, including 2 big New Year's Eve shows. Not sure how to feel about them, except I have folks who depend on the money, including me, and I have contracts. It's an awkward time. Ray Cadell is a phenomenal musician, phenomenal realtor, and the CEO of a booking business where he places and books musicians all over the country. Carol Thorpe has this comment. Judah, this is up your alley. I've had zero confidence in President Biden and his administration from the beginning. I have never had faith in Dr. Fauci, and his role in the genesis of the virus in the lab alone raised my suspicions about him. I remain autonomous about my healthcare decision-making, trusting my own judgment head and shoulders above theirs.
Yeah.
Do you give CT, Carol Thorpe, Carol, we love when you comment. Do you give her the round of applause for that? I got to get the sound box. Do you give it?
Yeah, I give her a round of applause for that. I mean,
All right, that's for you, Carol.
my sisters send a lot of sometimes memes, sometimes videos, and
Well, are your sisters vaxxed?
I don't think so.
Wow, that's ballsy.
At least one of them's had it, but then my mom is vaxxed and boosted,
And she got it.
and she got it. So, and that brings me to what was it? CDC said
Kelly Lewis, hello. Go ahead.
people who are vaccinated and boosted are usually off the hook for quarantine. Why though? Why would you be off the hook for quarantine if you're vaccinated and boosted, but you can still get it? Is there any reason to suspect that you can't pass it to someone else? So then why would you be off the hook for quarantine? Some of this stuff just defies logic.
Defies common sense. Here's the thing that we need to really talk about, and we'll apply it to Charlottesville. We can legitimately say, with fact and conviction and confidence, that this pandemic, Judah, had lasting damage on certain industries, like food and beverage, restaurants,
Oh yeah.
hospitality, live music, right? Off the top of my head.
Yeah.
What industries were more damaged or destroyed, maybe destroyed is a better word, than live music, hospitality, weddings and events, and restaurants? Are we going to look back in Charlottesville as we reflect with the benefit of history, as we learn from history? The whole point of history class, right, is to learn from it. Are we going to reflect and learn and say this pandemic was so piss poorly managed that these industries and these employee terminations and these businesses that went bankrupt and these industries that nearly collapsed should never have been in that precarious position from the get-go?
I think that's a fair assumption, and if you think about it, I mean, I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, but
Charlottesville's finest driving by. We respect you guys.
Think about the companies and the industries that did well.
Yeah, you know who did well? The big box stores with the deep pockets and the lobbyists that could get in the ear of federal and state policymakers.
So
Who did well? I'll tell you who did well. Target, Lowe's, Walmart, Home Depot. Who did well? Who did better than Amazon?
Amazon.
Who freaking did better than Amazon?
Who did better than Amazon?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone.
I don't think anyone did better than Bezos.
I'm not sure. I mean, it's kind of like which came first, the chicken or the egg. Which came first, the disaster that was COVID-19, or Amazon taking advantage of it.
So what's the point you're making there?
Oh, I don't know. I just like I said, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not.
Well, I mean, you're alluding to a bit of it. I'm curious. I respect your opinion. What's the point you're making there? Out of curiosity.
They've got. I mean, Bezos has a lot of money to.
Bezos is chilling on a yacht right now.
To toss around. He
Yeah.
made what he. I think he and some of the other, rich fat cats. They made what Middle America lost last year. I mean, it's just just as a thought experiment. How much control were they in, of all the disaster?
Are we going to look back with the benefit of history as our children, my children, your children, head from elementary school to middle school to high school, from geography to U.S. history to world history to AP history? And are we going to learn, is the next generation, the next 2 generations going to be taught that the pandemic was not only mismanaged, but it created the greatest transfer of American wealth of all time? What do you think about that?
Could be.
The greatest transfer of American wealth of all time, this pandemic. The lower class, the uneducated, and unfortunately, black and brown people impacted at clips and frequencies much greater than the upper class and white people, and the forgotten class, the middle class, squeezed even more. We talk affordable housing. We talk standing up for folks living on the financial margin. We preach, give a hand up. Not a handout, but give a hand up. So folks can gain the education, the wealth they need to climb the vertical ladder we call life. You know the folks that are forgotten, the folks that are ignored, the folks that are deprioritized and squeezed? When's the last time a government official has campaigned saying, we are going to stand up, Judah, for middle class? Seriously. We talk affordable housing for folks that don't have homes. But what about the folks that are teachers and cops and nurses that can't afford to buy anything? They have maybe enough money to live above the income threshold in their respective community, but not enough income to really do anything besides live paycheck to paycheck. Maybe squirrel away a couple of bucks. What's going on in that brain? Michael Bullock, we'll get to your comment. Carol Thorpe said, well stated, J-Dub. She said J-W, literally, Carol. Well stated, J-W. It's more than just a coincidence.
Yeah.
Ah, so frustrating. Michael Bullock, one of our viewers and listeners watching the program, says this. Scott Bandy, hello. Jerry, you are not wrong that more production necessarily exerts downward pressure on prices, but it's a lagging influence and it's a drop in the bucket compared to monetary easing. The Fed is responsible for the inflation, but they are only doing it in response to government inability to rein in spending. The government can't pay for it with taxes, so they print money, which is the most regressive and damaging of all ways to do so. Amen, brother. Here's what he's saying in a nutshell. Michael Bullock, I love when you watch the program. This is what he's saying in a nutshell. And I'm going to put this in very simplistic terms. When you continue to flood America with newly printed money, you're creating a devalue impact of the dollar. The dollar in 2019 could have bought you a candy bar, and then you would have had 21 cents left over to jingle in your pocket from the convenience store to get back to your office. Sometimes I need a little sugar rush in the afternoon. I'm a little low on sugar. So I go next door and I buy a Snickers bar from the Market Street Market. In 2019, I could have purchased that Snickers bar for 81 cents. That same Snickers bar today is $1.19. You're talking a 19 plus 19, a 38-cent increase for the Snickers bar. Now, I have to purchase the Snickers bar with $1.50 or two $1 bills. I used to be able to get that Snickers bar from the Market Street Market next door to the Macklin Building with $1 and come back to my desk and take that 21 cents and put it in the little cubby at the top drawer of my desk. And after a handful of Snicker bar purchases, 4, I could use the change to buy another Snickers bar. Now I can't. Is my son going to learn in AP history when he's in the 11th grade that the president of our country sprinted for his Delaware beach house during a pandemic, passing the buck to governors? Is my son going to learn when he's in AP history that the pandemic created the largest passing of wealth in American history? The rich get, as Judah said, what'd you call them, fat cats?
Yeah, fat cats.
The rich get more fat catted?
The rich get richer, the poor get poorer.
Is my son going to learn in AP history that the pandemic, from day one to the bottom of the 9th inning, was mismanaged so poorly that it damaged and destroyed industries like hospitality and live music and weddings and events? Or is this going to be glossed over? Is this going to be disguised and masked? Is this going to be brand managed? That our country, in a 2-year period, got us through this pandemic in ways that other countries could not. I would like, and he's going to hear it from me, he'll hear it from my wife. My wife is so frustrated right now with the confusion. So frustrated right now with the confusion. He's going to hear it from me, and I think he's going to hear it from her. He's going to learn it from me, and he's going to learn it from her. That this was not the best reflection of leadership in our country. All right, a couple other topics I want to get to. Anything else you want to add on that?
No, not right now.
The University of Virginia Foundation has purchased Ivy Square Shopping Center for $20 million. We're going to get to that topic. That's the shopping center where Foods of All Nations is located. $20 million for Ivy Square Shopping Center. Are you guys seeing, like I'm seeing, grounds as I knew it when I was a student at the University of Virginia, 2000 to 2004? UVA grounds was this bubble. It was the corner, it was the lawn, it was Rugby Road, and it was JPA. You didn't pass Orbitz, what is now Boylan Heights, because if you passed Orbitz or Boylan Heights, you were no longer in the protective bubble. When I was a student, you certainly didn't go past Barracks Road, north of Barracks Road. In fact, you really didn't go to Barracks Road. When I was a student, you weren't going down Ivy Road. You didn't go west. When I was a student, the most south that you would go was maybe Dirty Nelly's. I'll say, yeah, the most south that you would go would be Dirty Nelly's. The most east you would go, I gotta get my directions here. Which way would be east if you're a student? I guess it would be toward Riverside. Maybe if your parents took you, you would go to Riverside on High Street. But you stayed confined to this bubble. Now you look at it with the ubiquitous nature of transportation, Ubers, with the ubiquitous nature of ride sharing, with the ubiquitous nature of smartphones where knowledge is at your fingertips, and it's commonplace to see students at Pro Renata in Crozet. Commonplace West, commonplace to see students at the Ice House in Gordonsville. East, commonplace to see students at Mount Ida Wine Taproom or Blenheim or Trump. South, commonplace to see students at Stonefield and beyond, north. $20 million for Ivy Square Shopping Center. Watch as, not the city of Charlottesville, it's the city of UVA. We do not live in the city of Charlottesville, we live in the city of UVA. Watch as the university quickly and with significant momentum matriculates down the western corridor. A sidewalk is being carved into God's earth to connect the Snyder tennis courts to the fabulous Boar's Head Resort. You will literally be able to walk from Memorial Gym, from old dorms. I was Dabney 101. First left, Dabney dorms, 101, all the way at the end of the hall. Man, if those walls could talk, good night and good Lord. Thank goodness they can't. Now, if I went to school and I was a first year in Dabney 101, I could walk out of Dabney, I could go down Bonnycastle Circle, I could pass the Dell and the basketball courts, and if you haven't seen the Dell and the basketball courts and the greenway they've created, the university around the Dell, you're missing a just fantastic, gorgeous piece of nature on grounds. I could walk past Memorial Gym, past the Dell basketball courts, go by Snyder tennis courts. I could take a left at where the Cavalier Inn Hotel used to be. Remember the Cavalier Inn Hotel? That's where my parents used to stay when they visited my brother and I. My brother also went to the University of Virginia. My dad went to UVA. We're second generation. I would love if my son went to UVA. I'm not pressuring you though, son. You can do whatever you want. I'm not pressuring you. Remember the Cavalier Inn? You can walk past the Snyder tennis courts, cut across the road where the Cavalier Inn used to be. You can walk down Ivy Road, passing Ivy Provisions, passing where Tokyo Rose used to be. Tokyo Rose is now a Mexicano restaurant. You can pass the Papa John's and the car wash, Lou's fabulous tennis shop, and you can walk down Ivy Road, a 2-lane road where people are going 50 miles an hour, very soon on a safe and protected sidewalk to the fabulous Boar's Head Resort. Change is inevitable. And when you have an entity or a foundation that has billions with a B, many billions with a B at its disposal, change is going to not only be inevitable, it's going to be immediate and quick. And while some of us may not like change, it's going to happen regardless. And I see this as a positive. I see it as a positive. Housing values protected during the 08, 09, 010, 2010 recession. The economy insulated from national trends because of this university. Job creation galore. $125 million data science school soon coming to market. Dr. Bobby Chabra, an orthopedic epicenter on Ivy Road. A data science school on Ivy Road. A sidewalk that would have connected 18-year-old Jerry from Dabney 101 to the Boar's Head Resort. The vision and the momentum is monumental and should be commended and highlighted and spotlighted. Yes, there's collateral damage. And you know what that collateral damage is? A homogeneous, wealthy community of a very similar demographic. Charlottesville, Silicon Valley. Charlottesville, San Francisco. Charlottesville, Greenwich. Charlottesville, Fairfield. Charlottesville, the Hamptons. I have said on this program so many times, the invisible hand of capitalism cannot be stopped. Well, the invisible hand of capitalism in Charlottesville ain't so invisible. It has a name. And you know what that name is? You know what that name is? Two-shot J-Dubs?
Nope.
The invisible hand of capitalism in Charlottesville, Virginia. What is the invisible hand of capitalism's name?
I don't know.
The University of Virginia. It's the University of Virginia. And for everyone that says, I don't like the changes that are happening, I had a conversation today about this morning. What socioeconomic impacts or changes could UVA make on this community to make it less homogeneous, wealthy, and to cut to the chase, white? And I've been thinking and reflecting and it's been resonating, this topic with me. This topic's resonated with me. Here you have an institution that's in the business of making money, and there's nothing wrong with being in the business for making money, running your business in the black. And UVA runs its business in the black extremely well. You guys do a hell of a job of keeping the business in the black. In-state tuition, north of $50,000 a year. Is it the school's responsibility to prioritize or concern itself with socioeconomic impacts and changes and socioeconomic trends and futures? Or is it the business of the university to maximize enrollment every year and to grow and spread and sprawl. Without the university, this town would be Martinsville, Bristol. It wouldn't be Lynchburg, because Lynchburg has Liberty. It would undoubtedly be a lesser version of itself. But with the university, you have a community that is undoubtedly becoming wealthier and homogeneous. $20 million for Ivy Square Shopping Center. I'm hearing through the grapevine that Foods of All Nations will stay. I'm also hearing through the grapevine that the other merchants in the Ivy Square Shopping Center, when their leases are up, they will not get renewals. And the school and the shops in the Ivy Square Shopping Center will be converted into educational infrastructure. I'm hearing through the grapevine, and guys, my grapevine is frankly the spoken word and the spoken truth. I'm hearing through the grapevine that developer Hunter Craig, who is developing the shopping center next to Bel Air Market on Ivy Road, Hunter and his team are luring, romanticizing, persuading, seducing, encouraging the current tenants in the Ivy Square Shopping Center to move their businesses just down the road westward to his newly developed and constructed shopping center across from Burwood Golf Course. So Foods of All Nations, the grocery store, stays, patronized and supported by the Tony demographic that is Ivy. All the other businesses, when their leases expire, have to go. Potentially a little bit down the road to Hunter's new development. Interestingly, the shopping center right next to Ivy Square Shopping Center, the kind of hodgepodge one that's between Ivy Square Shopping Center and the car wash, that shopping center that has Papa John's, the old Tokyo Rose, the restaurant formerly known as Tokyo Rose, the tennis shop. Lou's Tennis Shop is just a gem. That shopping center, that shopping strip, it's not even a center, that strip, the strip between Ivy Square Shopping Center and the car wash, the home to the tennis shop, Tokyo Rose, Papa John's, that is an HOA building that's owned by a smattering of different owners. For example, the heir of the Roy Wheeler Realty firm, second generation Roy Wheeler. I think his name is Kenny Wheeler. He owns 3 storefronts there. Hunter Craig owns one of the storefronts there. Because there's not one owner in that strip, purchasing that strip is a little bit more difficult. Hunter would like to purchase that strip. Certainly UVA would like to purchase that strip. But there's a number of different owners. So getting them all in one room and offering fair market value when you have a number of different owners is difficult to do. I will not be surprised if 10 years from now, the Ivy corridor between Foods of All Nations and the Boar's Head becomes almost synonymous with the Lawn 2.0 or the UVA Corner 2.0. You go from Foods of All Nations to the Boar's Head, you will see that become the new generation of the academic village, or the new generation of the UVA corner as we know it today. $20 million. Bill McKenzie, he says this. Thank you for watching, Bill. We appreciate your support and viewership and listenership. When the UVA Foundation changes the property from business to education, the taxes gained from those properties for local governments disappear. 100% right. When the UVA Foundation changes the property from business to education, the taxes gained from those properties for local governments disappear. 100% right. Bill McKenzie. Props to you. Kevin Higgins, we're going to get to your comment here in a matter of moments. I love when you guys engage with the show and offer questions and perspective. I very much do. I love connecting with you guys through this platform. I love spotlighting Charlottesville with a passion, with an absolute passion. Michael Bullock echoes Bill McKenzie's comments. Michael Bullock says, don't forget that the University of Virginia doesn't pay taxes like other businesses and individuals. It goes to show how beneficial for everyone it is to have a low tax burden. Just one major business with a tax break is enough to transform an entire community for the better. Michael Bullock, you've been dropping knowledge today, dude. Michael Bullock, you've been dropping knowledge today. Carol Thorpe, I'll get to your comments. Kevin Higgins, the world-class city of UVA. Kevin Higgins, the world-class UVA sports clinic was built by Vivace for a reason? Oh, it was built, okay, I understand now. Kevin Higgins leaves this comment. The world-class UVA sports clinic was built next to Vivace for a reason. Centerra built right next to it for another reason. All eyes are on that area. Well said, Kevin Higgins. And let's cut to the chase. From a cash assets, from a wealth standpoint, what would you say are the two wealthiest areas of Charlottesville and Albemarle County? I would say the first wealthiest area of Charlottesville and Albemarle County is the Ivy Corridor. I would say a very close second. This is debatable. The Keswick area and the Ivy Corridor, the two wealthiest areas of Charlottesville and Albemarle County. Anybody disagree with me there? The Keswick area and the Ivy Corridor, the two wealthiest areas of Albemarle County. I don't think anyone would disagree with that statement. And Kevin Higgins is right. Centerra and the UVA Sports Clinic, led by the fabulous, the esteemed, the beloved Dr. Bobby Chabra, are building epicenters where the customer base can support the price points associated with said epicenters. And that's just economics 101. That's just good business 101. Kevin Higgins adds, KH, you're making us better today, Kev. You aren't driving any underprivileged out in that direction. Plus, it's Interstate 64. It makes total sense to put the development there. Quiet expansion, and it's happening right now. Pretty sure UVA owns the U Heights apartment complex as well. I will look into that, Kev. Good stuff from you, Kevin Higgins, today. James Watson, love when you watch the program, JW. The topics and suggestions you send to me through Facebook Messenger, James Watson, are appreciated and 99.99% of the time integrated into this show. James Watson says, good point about that UVA Corner 2.0 concept. Plus, you got to remember they're redeveloping all of the area around the old U-Haul. I believe there will be a university-owned hotel and a convention-sized conference space going in that area. Maybe then we will host the NCAA tournament. James Watson. Love you, JW. Two JWs I love. I love that JW as well. He's right. There is going to be a hotel and conference and convention center there. And who is not surprised, or who would not love the economic benefits and the in-person engagement associated with an NCAA tournament in Charlottesville. The fan experience alone of having an NCAA tournament in Seville would be beloved, appreciated, and welcomed. In fact, one of my tenets for my platform for Albemarle County Board of Supervisors is sports tourism. Explain to me why we don't have more youth sports tournaments in Seville and Albemarle County. Parents arrive in Charlottesville and Albemarle County with open pocketbooks and wallets. They don't tax our schools. They barely tax our roads. They leave our resources alone. They spend their money and they leave. They give us the disposable income and they peace out. Why is sports tourism not prioritized at a greater clip in this community? A couple other topics today. U.S. home prices popped 18.4% in October. The S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller 20-City Home Price Index, which came out today, climbed 18.4% in October from a year earlier. The gain marked a slight deceleration from 19.1% year over year in September. All 20 cities in this KPI, Key Performance Index, posted double-digit annual gains. All 20 cities posted double-digit annual gains. The National Association of Realtors reported last week that sales of previously occupied homes rose for the third straight month in November to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of $6,466,000. What does that mean? Well, in a nutshell, it means this. Home prices have gone up astronomically. COVID, just like it damaged, borderline destroyed hospitality, live music, convention, food and beverage, it did the absolute opposite to home ownership. Now, you can make a legitimate argument that COVID shrunk the supply of homes to purchase, which is fact, creating a significant uptick in price point, which is fact. Diminished supply, maintained demand. Price points are going to go up. Economics 101. Learned that from Ken Elzinga as a first year at UVA. Hell, I learned that in cafeteria in middle school when I was selling candies at lunch, packs of M&Ms and Twizzlers and Skittles to my friends at a 15 to 20% markup. COVID. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. COVID. The largest wealth transfer period in American history. COVID. Big cats get fatter. Skinny cats succumb and die. And how about the Worst Person of the Year award? 2 Charlottesville stores are cleaning up broken glass and destruction after break-ins over the Christmas weekend. Benny Del Luca's, the restaurant that makes the really big pizzas that you can barely fit in your car, and Potbelly Sandwich Shop on West Main Street were both robbed and looted in the wee hours after Christmas. I drove by Benny Del Luca's to get to the studio today. The front door is plywood. Where the front door was at Benny Del Luca's, all the glass destroyed, damaged, and not there. And now it's plywood for the door. You know how much was stolen from Benny Del Luca's? $100. But the door was damaged. You know what looting and robbing of local businesses does? Yeah, it means Benny Del Luca's is out $100. Sure, it's out even more to replace the door. But it really does, what it really impacts is the faith and the trust you have in your neighbors, in your community, in your home. What is a more what damages your feeling of safety and confidence more than someone kicking in your door, destroying your glass on your front door and robbing you? It's not the money, it's the trust and the feeling of vulnerability that is the real impact. Whoever was that guy, I got something for you. Whoever did the robbing, that's what I got for you. All right, let me get to the statement from Marcus Hagans. J-Dubs, are we going to get you on a two-shot here?
Hopefully, eventually.
All right, we got about T-minus 3 minutes, and I need to hear your Spider-Man take. We got a conference call at 1:45. Let me know. Give me the thumbs up or thumbs down if we can make it happen. This is from Marcus Hagans. Marcus Hagans is a UVA alum. He started his career out of Hampton High School. He played for Mike Smith at Hampton High. My dad went to Hampton High School. My brother and I grew up going to Crabber football games. Literally grew up going to Hampton Crabber football games and watching Ahmad Hawkins and Ronald Curry and Bobby Blizzard and guys like Marcus Hagans play. Marcus Hagans started his career at the University of Virginia as a wide receiver, catching passes from Matt Schaub. He was also returning punts. He finished his career as a decorated quarterback who got drafted in the National Football League, who played for the St. Louis Rams and a couple of other teams as a wideout. Now he's an assistant coach at the University of Virginia, has a beautiful wife and 2 kids, lives in this community. I see him running down High Street frequently. He released this statement: "A month of heavy emotions and transitions." And I'm going to read it verbatim from Marcus Hagans. "A month of heavy emotions and transitions, all part of the privilege of this business. What anchors and sustains me is being committed to serving young men. I will always stay dedicated to teaching, mentoring, and leading players by example. I do not take my time or relationships with them for granted. It's an honor to have impacted so many incredible young people. They make this job a vocation. To me, the well-being of my players, no matter position or playing time, and my belief in them will always come first in times of transition. After all, the players are who make this all possible. I am honored and grateful to be a part of Coach Elliott's staff, equally grateful to be both Coach Mendenhall and Coach London for the opportunities provided to me. I am most grateful to the UVA Charlottesville community for the love and care that is always shown to my family. We are extremely thankful to continue to call this place home. It's an honor to be a part of the University of Virginia, and I will always treat it as such. Go Hoos." Dude, I read this from Biscuit Hagans, and I got choked up. The fact that 18 to 22-year-old, hell, in today's times, you have 23 and 24-year-olds playing because of the COVID hardship year. The fact that 18 to 24-year-olds are mentored by Biscuit Hagans is so incredibly positive. And how many assistant coaches can you name that have withstood 3 coaching regimes and still remain at the same employer? Most of the time when a coach resigns, gets fired, or quits, the assistant coaches go with him or are not retained. Marcus Hagans has been an assistant coach under Mike London, an assistant coach under Bronco Mendenhall, and now an assistant coach under Tony Elliott. Does that not say something about Biscuit Hagans' character? Does that not say something about Biscuit Hagans and his ability to connect and get the best out of 18 to 24-year-olds? Hell yeah, it does. Virginia, fortunate to have an assistant in Marcus Hagans, who legitimately has served as an assistant coach for 3 different head coaches here in Charlottesville at the University of Virginia. That is a statistic that is worth celebrating and championing. I cannot think of an assistant coach that has worked under 3 different head coaches. Can you? Marcus Hagans is one, and that's a trivia question you should put in your back pocket for the cocktail party. All right, Spider-Man, can we go on the 2-shot? Are we good to go on the 2?
Good to go?
You watched it.
What?
You watched it.
Oh, yeah.
In the movie theater.
Yeah.
Best movie you've ever seen?
I don't know if I'd go quite that far, but it was just all around spectacularly well done.
What made it so spectacular?
They just, it was everything. You know, it's when everything just comes together in that perfect package. It was the storytelling, the acting, the way they brought in former characters. I'm not gonna give any spoilers away, guys.
Please, no spoilers. No spoilers.
But they just brought everything together in a funny, touching, fun movie. I mean, my sisters, who are by no means comic book fans, were eager to see this movie from what they'd heard from friends. And when they got done, guess what they wanted to watch over Christmas break?
All the Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch that?
We started with the originals and got through the first two Tobey Maguire movies. And my sisters, they were like clamoring to watch Spider-Man.
Did you guys
This
put on
doesn't-
Spidey
this doesn't
outfits?
make sense.
Did you put on Spidey outfits?
No, we don't have Spider-Man
Okay.
outfits.
I'm going to give you a statistic here. Spider-Man is the top grossing movie in Sony Pictures history. Spider-Man has now become Sony's top grossing movie of all time in the United States.
I believe it.
Listen to this, and we'll close. Star Wars 7, The Force Awakens in 2015 grossed $936 million plus dollars. Over $936 million total. Avengers Endgame 2019, second from a gross standpoint, $858 plus million dollars. Avatar 2009 was number 3 with over $760 million. Black Panther 4, over $700 million. And Avengers Infinity War. God, the Avengers franchise. The Avengers franchise has 3 of the top 10 spots with best grossing box office sales of all time. Spider-Man is now over $500 million. So that means Spider-Man is sniffing the 10 spot. The 10th spot is The Incredibles 2.
Nice.
Explain this to me. Here's the top 10. Star Wars 7, Avengers Endgame, 3 is Avatar, 4 Black Panther, 5 Avengers Infinity War, 6 Titanic, 7 Jurassic World, 8 The Avengers from 2012, 9 Star Wars 8, and 10 The Incredibles 2. Spider-Man's about to creep into the top 10. Why is so much of the top grossing movies of all time associated with superheroes, the supernatural, or not life associated with this planet?
Well, I can't speak to the supernatural or life not associated with this planet, but I think Avatar falls in the same category as the superheroes. In terms of, I think
it's because we want an escape.
Well, that's part of it, but every movie is an escape in some ways. But I think, what is it, Joseph Conrad talked about the hero's journey, and I think that's, I think stories, and even more than that, stories about heroes have always captivated us from the first days of comic books with Superman and Batman. We've needed something to, we needed someone to show us that we could be better people. And I think comic books and comic book movies do that in a way that can be subversive because it's not preachy. It can be like a fun, it can seem like it's just a fun, action-packed, like blockbuster, summer movie or winter movie. But underneath, Peter Parker is what made me cry. There's so much great humor in the movie, and there's also some tragedy. And there's this one scene where his friends just find him sitting on a rooftop, like having a hard time of it, and they just hug him from each side. They make, like a hug sandwich, and it was just such a beautiful moment. And that kind of storytelling endures.
Well said. I think that's a phenomenal way to close the show. Mandy's giving you some props. Mandy, did you dress up in your Spider-Man costume?
Mandy, if you do, you got to send me a picture.
Please send a picture. We may, maybe yes, maybe no yes. Put it on the show, Mandy.
Oh, definitely yes.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely yes. It's definitely yes. Very well said.
Thank you.
New Year's resolution, integrate Judah more into the show. 5 years of suggestion of doing this. You realize that?
Yeah, but you got to make it work. You can't just this is.
You're saying
this is
give you the
enjoyable.
topics in advance.
Yeah, this is enjoyable. When I'm like in the middle of a Facebook post, over here, and all of a sudden you're like,
All right,
ask
all
me
right.
a question to something that I heard maybe a quarter of the prelude to. I'm just kind of like.
Well said. I
don't
totally
know.
get it. He's Judah. I'm Jerry. This is our last show of 2021. We're back in the saddle in 2022 on Monday. Happy holidays and stay safe, my friends. Thank you for joining us on the I Love SeaWorld show.